And welcome back, everyone. We are staying on the money track tonight, and with us is the president of American Hartford Gold, Max Baecker. Now, you hear me every night talking about the value of having gold in your portfolio. And of course, I talk about it with American Hartford Gold. Why? Because I buy gold from them, and it's who I recommend. So, full disclosure, they're our sponsor. But I thought it might be interesting to talk to the man in charge of American Hartford Gold, Max Baecker. Max, so good to have you with us tonight. Let me jump into this and let's talk about with the Trump win, Republican majorities across Congress. What is the outlook for gold and silver, for that matter, all precious metals, as Donald Trump prepares to move back to Washington?
The outlook is strong. First of all, thank you for having me. It's great seeing you, Governor. Yeah, outlook's very strong. Just about every major investment bank is predicting gold to go higher in the coming year. And then if you look backwards towards Trump's first presidency, gold rose about 58% during that term. And really, the reason being, we're just printing a ton of money, and our government's at a place right now where we're going to have to continue to print to fund everything that we've promised. So with that, with all the money printing, gold's going to continue to rise and do pretty well.
You know, I think a lot of people, Max, will hear me say when I'm talking about American Hartford Gold and the reason to buy gold is it's a hedge against inflation. When the dollar shrinks and it is not worth as much, gold holds value, and it just makes sense for people to have it as part of their portfolio. So these past 4 years, we have seen just horrible inflation, and it's been a gut punch to so many American families. Those who bought gold at the beginning of this presidential term of Joe Biden, what has been the result for them over the past 4 years because of inflation?
They've done very well. Gold's up 60% in Joe Biden's term, and the dollar's lost about 30% of its purchasing power. So if you put that together, yeah, if you moved out of the dollar before it lost 30%, you moved into gold as it rose 60%, you came out okay.
So one of the things that we often talk about with our viewers is that people can put gold as a part of their IRA. And to a lot of people that doesn't translate. They don't exactly know how does that work. Explain for us, does it mean when we say you can put gold in your IRA as part of your portfolio?
Yeah, a lot of people are unaware you can actually put physical gold in your IRA. If you've got a account with an amount of money in there and you wanted to put a portion of that into physical gold, we would open up a self-directed IRA for you, and then you could then liquidate a portion of your current account. That's tax-free, penalty-free, because you're going from a retirement account to a retirement account. You'd move those funds into that self-directed IRA, and from there you could purchase physical gold with those funds, and it'd go to a third-party vault that's fully insured until it's time for you to take distribution of that metal.
So it's not like the gold is just disappearing, vaporized. I mean, it physically does exist. The person who owns it does in fact own the gold. So there's a safety and security that I think a lot of people may not fully understand, because people are worried about making sure that whatever they have, whether it's a stock or a bond or a piece of gold, that somebody isn't going to take it from them. So I guess the most important thing is to give them some assurance that this is in a secure and safe place, probably maybe even a little bit more reliable than what may happen on any given day in the stock market.
That's absolutely right. You're talking about an asset that has zero counterparty risk. It has value all over the world. It's not someone else's IOU. And yeah, it's there under your name and your locker. You can have access to it at any time. You can take a distribution of that metal, have it sent to your front door within a week or two. So it's very much owned by you, and it's what a lot of folks a path a lot of folks have taken over the past 4 years.
Max, I know that President Trump is going to do everything possible to keep the American dollar as a monetary standard, but there's been serious talk to move toward what is commonly called BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and get off the dollar as a monetary standard and go to a currency and go to a standard that would be controlled by people, not all of whom are our good friends. If that were to happen, and I know it's a big if, but if that were to happen, uh, what would that mean for people who own physical gold? Is it a good, I mean, does it give them a better position to be hedged in that moment?
Yeah, it's certainly if there's a big currency war going on that bodes in gold's favor. I know Donald Trump has some serious thoughts on that. He was once quoted in the past year saying if the dollar lost the world reserve currency status, it'd be worse than losing a world war. And so he's taken a very hard stance against these BRICS nations just this past week, saying he would tariff them, 100% if they were to pull forward with something like that. But any kind of volatility with currency is certainly something that bodes well for gold in the future. But I'm hopeful Trump will do something to prevent that.
There's a term that maybe a lot of our viewers aren't familiar with, they don't hear it every day. It's called the black swan event, something that could be catastrophic, unexpected. COVID was that kind of event. Should we have another black swan event in the coming year or two, what happens to gold? Is it a safer place to be because of something that happens that is absolutely unexpected, but yet catastrophic?
Yeah, it's gold is an insurance policy. It's not a get rich quick thing. It's just insurance on your other investments. And certainly, whenever there's a black swan, a COVID, for instance, gold does very well, and that's why you have the insurance policy. This coming year, there's an awful lot of debt globally. I saw a report a couple of weeks ago. It's at 323 trillion globally. Here in the U.S., where adding another $1 trillion to the debt every 100 days. There's a $2 trillion deficit, and we're paying $1 trillion of interest every year. So there might be something kind of debt related. There might be something involved with the wars. I don't know if those are going to get out of hand, or maybe another war on the horizon. And then certainly, some of the banking issues we've seen over the past couple of years that could creep up with all these commercial real estate loans coming due.
Final question for you, Max, is back during the Nixon administration in 72, he took us off the gold standard. A lot of people in America weren't even alive when this happened, but it used to be that all of our currency was backed up by physical gold. We used to talk about Fort Knox and that, gold was our standard. Now it's paper. What did that do to the overall economy, and why did it make gold really more important than ever?
Sure. It did help the economy grow just because you're able to, have banks lend out and basically have it backed by nothing, lend out currency and have fractional reserve banking. And, now the economy's grown to what it's grown to. But unfortunately, that's caused over those years the dollar to lose significant value. So it was kind of a trade-off there. And we're going to continue to see that. And it's made gold valuable just because it is an asset, a hard asset that can never go to zero. And we get back into talking on counterparty risk. There's no counterparty risk there, and that's why we've seen gold perform so well over the past year. It's up 30% this year in 2024. That just having that asset that in your hand that has no counterparty risk, it has been very, very important for most folks. And I think that trend's going to continue until we get this debt situation under control.
That may be a long, long time. All the more reason to own some gold. Max Baecker,
Right.
thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you so much for supporting this show.
Thank you, Governor. Good to be here.
I know my wife likes gold. Of course, she likes it in the form of jewelry for the most part, but she's like me, and she's come to realize that owning gold is not just about jewelry. It's about owning physical gold and silver as a hedge against inflation, as a way to barter if the whole economy just goes south on us, or just as a part of a portfolio, because gold and silver always will hold value. And that's why it's important. It's why we have physical gold and silver. Now, buying gold and silver can be confusing, but it doesn't have to be. It isn't when you do business with American Hartford Gold. That's who I talk to guide me about buying gold and silver. the only precious metals company that I can recommend. Now, if you call or text, you can get a free no strings attached gold and silver buying guide from American Hartford Gold. That's how you can learn how to protect your own nest egg with a tax advantage gold IRA. And you might be able to get up to $15,000 of free silver on qualifying purchases. Call them 844-417-1010 or text Mike to 998899 for a free information kit from American Hartford Gold.